Hello, my name is Rob, and today I will talk about COP28 and uh, the COP28 President and Sultan Al Jabal, who claimed that there's no science behind the demands to phase out fossil fuels. Uh, there clearly is demands to uh, phase out fossil fuels. Uh, but this article is from The Guardian, and it's called COP28 President Says That There is No Science Behind Demands for Phase Out of Fossil Fuels by Damien Carlton and Ben Stockton. Um, there was the global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius report, um, which was written by scientists and heavily reviewed by individual scientists. This explains the impacts of the world reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius, as well as 2.5 degrees Celsius. And there were several scientists that you can see highlighted on this page. Yang Chen, Tom Maycock, Cyril Connells, among other scientists. Um, then I want to go to page 159. It's a few pages down. Oh, I missed this graphic, but I might get to it. Those frequently asked questions. What kind of pathways limit warming to 1.5 degrees and are we on track? If this was from a couple years ago, I believe it was before the pandemic. If current pledges for 2030 are achieved but no more, researchers find very few, if any, ways to reduce emissions after 2030 sufficiently quickly to limit warming of 1.5 degrees. National pledges as they stand. Oh, this in turn suggests that with the national pledges as they stand, warming would exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. Um, and then they say that greenhouse gas emissions would need to rapidly decline. Wait. Oh. Um, And then there was an article in Nature, unextractable fossil fuels in a 1.5 degrees Celsius world. Um, and this is by Dan Wellesby, James Price, Steve Pye, and Paul Ekins. Um, they say that there needs to be a sharp decline to keep temperatures below 1.5 degrees. Um, and 90% of coal must be unextracted to keep warming within 1.5 degrees carbon budget. And oil and gas production must decline globally by 3% each year until 2050. Um, then there's, I think, yeah, there's an article that goes into um, in the conversation. This is a news article. COP28 President is wrong. Science clearly shows fossil fuels must go, and fast. Um, and John Pye, I think, is maybe not the same author. Um, let's see. Yeah, and let me see. Where am I? Conversation. So yeah, it says the same thing, but it's more updated. Oh, here it is. They said in the article they linked to a paper. Um, oh, wait, I didn't say who this article was by. John Hanson Pye. I did highlight stuff to talk about. Um, there was an atmospheric scientist, Ploy Okolst, um, who the article says looked at existing scenarios for limiting warming to 1.5 degrees and said that oil and gas supply must decline by 95, 62, and 42% respectively. Um, and then many assume carbon capture and carbon dioxide removal that are likely greater than what could be feasibly achieved. Um, I'm not a fan of carbon capture um, myself because there's potential of leaks. Um, yeah, and then there's more evidence. And we know that increased um, greenhouse gases, climate change is already having an impact. Oh, I can. Windows capsule. It's already having a huge impact. there's increased deaths as a result of climate change from heat, flooding, and drought conditions, increased severe storms, um, and there was a huge concern that COP28 is at hosted by a fossil fuel, um, a country that uses a lot of fossil fuels and is known for that. Let's see. United Arab Emirates. And I'll see if there's any. COP28. I'll just look at the news. So some of the other articles are Ebola given Fossil Fuel of the Day award by activists at Global Summit. Um, um, the Premier of Saskatchewan had a booth at the government of Saskatchewan had its own booth, even though it can't make climate agreements. And they're known as um, climate change denials. Very weak on climate change. There was a record number of fossil fuel lobbyists at COP28 climate talks, and this is from 2 days ago. Even after the previous summit had a record number of fossil fuel lobbyists, so that's very concerning. That at the time when scientists say we need to reduce greenhouse gases, that there's going to be more pressure to increase them. Um, in the article that I first talked about, COP28 President says that there's no science behind demands for phase out of fossil fuels. Those quotes from different scientists and activists. Professor Sir David King, the chair of Climate Crisis Advisory Group, and the former UK chief scientific advisor said it's incredibly concerning and surprising to hear the COP28 president defend the use of fossil fuels. It is undeniable that to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees, we must all rapidly reduce carbon emissions and phase out the use of fossil fuels by 2035 at the latest. The alternative is an unimaginable future for humanity. And I didn't highlight any of the other ones. Um, and yeah, and Canada isn't on track to meet its climate obligations. I can make a separate video about that if I haven't already, um, as well as those continuing um, pressure to end carbon pricing in Canada, especially from conservatives, and I can talk about that in a future video. Um, but yeah, uh, COP28 isn't really going too well, and I will um, I will show like some of the updates about COP28, the major conclusions, um, and show new videos. Thank you for listening.